Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Sales Athlete Podcast. Ryan here. And man, I'm super stoked to be hanging out with you guys as always. We're going to talk a little bit about something really important to me. And this started about 12 years ago, about 12, actually more like 12, 13 years ago. And you guys, most of you know, I was a professional baseball player. I played several seasons with pro teams, and then I was released. And then after I was released, I played some more professional ball with independent ball, which will create some depression real quick. $600 a month with peanut butter and jellies and a host home, so you'll love that. But I have a struggle. I had a struggle like most baseball players do, and that is an identity crisis. Okay, so many of you guys, if you were athletes or you have done something that you went so all in on that you had to like give everything to become successful, then you're going to find that you're going to have an identity crisis. And I just had a really cool meeting with somebody, and I'll fast forward in a bit.
Hey, what's up, guys? I hope you are loving this episode. Hey, if you're a contractor looking to scale and grow your business through sales leadership training and sales coaching and training for your team, then look no further. All you got to do is text us at 945-800-4220. 945-800-4220, okay? Or just go to our website, sellontg.com. Again, if you're a contractor and you want to grow your sales leadership training skills, your sales coaching skills, and you want to grow and help your sales reps get better, we can help commercial companies. We help residential companies. No matter what trade you're in, you just want to transform your business, okay? Come to STG. We hope to see you there. Hey, now back to the episode.
To that, so just hang with me. But about 12 years ago, when baseball was something I was playing every day, and then I was released, I was dreaming of being a major leaguer. I was dreaming of being successful. I was dreaming of having, a family that, could come watch me play. I was dreaming about all these things. And I was also dreaming that I would be a good, shining light from that place and, help others and be successful. And I had all these visions and dreams, and I worked very hard toward those, to achieve those. But however, I still found that in hindsight, I had an identity crisis even when I was playing. And how do you know you have an identity crisis? How do you know that you're placing your trust in something that is unstable? And how that looks is whenever the thing in which you are doing and your performance you're performing in is doing great, then your emotional state, your value, the way you see yourself is also great. And then once that performance starts to dip, once that performance starts to sink, or if you have a performance that drops, then therefore you as a human being drop. You actually have a bit of an identity crisis happening where the performance of the thing in which you're doing, your emotional state is basically predicated upon how well those things are going. Okay, so it's like a roller coaster ride because nothing in a performance-based environment is consistently great. So you're going to have this challenge where your emotional well-being is predicated upon how well that's working. And what I found is that when baseball was over, I had a lack of sense of who I am. Like, who am I? However, there was time as a teenager, there was enough impact on my faith in my faith journey that I got to have an idea of who I was. But it wasn't until I re-engaged that outside of baseball that I started to see some powerful changes. In fact, I used to engage my faith as a means to an end. I was like, if I do this, then maybe they'll bless my baseball game. If I don't do this, then I'll be more successful as a baseball player. And I was using God as like a puppet to try to get what I wanted, which is ultimately to be a great baseball player. That was at the time what I was struggling with. And it sounds kind of gross and disgusting and laughable now, but that's the state I was in. And a lot of baseball players are in that state, and they struggle to transform themselves. And so what I found was as I re-engaged my faith outside of baseball, and I started to find a sense of value and self-worth that was detached from that, some words really started to speak deeply into my soul, my heart, my spirit about who I am and my value. Now that was awesome because it began a journey where I can become free in my competing again and free to perform with joy and peace and perform with love and not perform out of anxiety and fear. So a lot of times I would perform out of anxiety and fear to feel better about myself. If I perform well, then therefore I'm now validated in my mind. However, when I started to find validation outside of those things, then I had already had validation, I already had approval, already had love and acceptance and value apart from those roles, that role in which I played. So, however, my DNA as a builder, an entrepreneur, a competitor, to go make things happen as a warrior, a provider, I found that when I knew my true identity and was learning my true identity and performing from that place, I started to see a transformation where I started to experience highs and lows, but my spiritual and emotional state did not roll with those punches quite as much as they did before. However, they talk about something, the knowledge from your head to your heart, as an 18-inch journey. And this 18-inch journey of those truths is still making its way down into my heart, where it comes from my heart out to my behavior and my habits and the way I live. And I've found that um, although there's been a lot of awesome things, very fruitful life, and great things that I've seen happen in my success in my business, and with my family, I still have found that there's some remnants of those traits and about my identity still kind of hanging around that started to get to me, okay, in my business, and then now I'm seeing it now in a little other place. I'm working on it. It's on my radar, but we're all on a journey. So the thing about business is that if your identity and your value and your self-worth comes from money, comes from your performance in your business, then you are going to struggle. You're going to find that you'll be depressed, and that you'll find yourself wanting to find reprieve and perhaps substances and things like that. And so what's really cool is if when you start to really know the truth about who you actually are, and then from that place go compete and perform, the performance highs and lows will not change you. And you can be a rock, like a steadfast, just a peaceful, joyful person that can enjoy life because of where your trust, where your value comes from. And I think that what I'm finding I'm finding it interesting is, like, I have a lot of kids. I'm about to have my sixth kid, and my second born son is playing pretty competitive baseball, and we're spending a lot of time developing those skills. And he has found himself going through some challenges where maybe some of the culture of baseball, there's going to be a culture of baseball around what you have, what drip do you have, do you look cool, do you not look cool, right? There's a big culture around baseball of how do you produce, like what are your numbers, are you and then what's another part of baseball culture is what others say about you. And so when you have people who are super concerned with the story in their head is, I am valuable if I have great things, if I'm producing, and or I am being told by others that I'm great. Okay, so then now the story in your head, and this is crazy because I just got off a call with a former major leaguer, and then he went to Bible school, and then he's now coaching parents and kids on like identity and stuff. And this is really top of mind because I've been doing heart work and identity for 12, 15 years. But this gentleman is helping me navigate a scenario, just being a dad, and then like having a son, and like dealing with some of those challenges of growing and teaching them. How do we teach them the things that's taken me 30 years to learn in several, much less time for his development. And that's discipleship ultimately, right? Is like truly training and raising up your kids. So what was cool is that we were having his chat today, and he talks about, he was asking me about like the story in your head. And what we're struggling with is there's a story in my son's head, or there's a voice that's loud in his head that is not benefiting him. So he's, we're really kind of realizing is that this is just part of life. And I think in business and in sales and in life, you're going to have voices in your head. And he said to me that, and I can't wait to do this exercise, and I want you guys to do it, is get out a sheet of paper. And the sheet of paper, you want to write down, whose voices are in my head right now. So it could be a coach, it could be a player, it could be a teammate, it could be a father, it could be a mentor, it could be anybody, it could be your mom, it could be your child, whatever it is. But somebody, each of us have voices that are like, in our heads. And then he asked me to do this. He said, put down, ask what voices are in your head, whose voices are in your head. Ask my son that. And then ask the question, what do they say about you? And then when you answer those, just look and be like, are these voices the voices that I need to turn the volume up on or down on? And I started to, I think about that, and I'm just like, wow, this is very, very powerful. It's a very simple truth, but it's very impactful. The travel baseball world is crazy. When you have people's voices that care a lot about what you have, what you're producing, and what people say about you. Even in business and in the industry I'm in roofing and the trades, a lot of people get a fix. They get their fix on what people say about them. Are they in the top 100 roofing contractor list? Are they in the top 500 remodeler list? Are they, recognized as speakers on conference stages? Are they this or that or whatever? They name dropped by other influencers. And so there's just so much that goes into all this as parents, as children, as business owners. And at the end of the day, when you start to realize those voices may not be serving you, and those voices are affecting you, and it's causing you to be anxious or afraid, then you need to find an adjustment. You need to find a way to change that. So as a salesperson, as a business owner, as a father or whatever, as a mother, ask yourself what voices are loud in my head, and what are they saying about me? And I think what's cool is if we give ourselves enough grace to, over time, start to receive those truths and not try to achieve something from those voices in our head, but receive something. And then from that place of receiving, go perform or go after things. But don't go after things for validation, love, acceptance, joy, peace. Don't go after those things by strangling and trying to force things to happen. Versus knowing the truth, and from there be powerful from that place. Be unshakable, unflappable, right? Unoffendable, not rattled, not a dad or a mom that gets offended if their kid does this or that. But realizing that there are voices that are very loud, and those voices bring peace, joy, and love. They don't bring control. They don't bring manipulation, right? And so what I'm finding is that when you know the voice that needs to be loud, you know the loudest voice, and that voice is loud, and those voices remain in your mind, and they're being meditated on. The other voices that are bound to come, that are going to be there, can start to dwindle. They start to go, die away. And if we can be consistent over time with that, man, what a life of peace, and what a life of stability, what a life that's going to bear good fruit versus one that's anxious, one that's fearful. There's a lot more to this. I'm definitely not like a huge expert on all of this stuff, but I can tell you that I have been walking from and learning this identity message, and I could see how it's transformed my life. And I could see how if you understand the truth of who you are, how God sees you, right? The truth of who you are, and you believe that to be true, and you believe that truth for yourself. And it's not just your truth, it's the truth. It's what the Almighty God says, who made you in his image, right? Has to say, versus putting so much emphasis on what someone says about you, what you own, what you possess, what you produce. Because if you are concerned with that, you're always going to be struggling. You're going to have this up and down roller coaster ride of emotional state. And what if you're a person that was so certain with how God and you see yourself and your loved ones, that when someone says something great, it doesn't fill your head up where you have to you can't walk through the door, right? But also, if someone says something negatively, it doesn't make you want to throw in the towel, right? Or if you so or know who you are that if you have much, people can't tell that it's changed you, and if you have little, you're still rock solid and the same, right? What if when you're producing at a high level, people are like, man, like this person's so humble, just because the production isn't pumping up your ego. Or whenever you're struggling to the point where you really stink at a thing right now and you're not producing, that you don't associate your value with that. Now you're in depression and you're, woe is me, I'm no good. And it's this 18-inch journey from the head to the heart. It takes time. And if you can be a person that allows for those truths to go down deep over time and just let it get there and just remind yourself and receive those truths, I think we're all going to be better people, and we're all going to be better producers of the things that we just put our hands to. We're all going to be potentially have more, but who cares if you have more, right? I just think that ultimately it produces better things. So the identity message is key. And if you are leading people, whether your family or people in your company, and your identity is associated with performance, you're going to shame people without good performance, and you're going to praise people with good performance. Okay, cool. That's good for business, right? Could be. It could create some wild inconsistencies as well. And so there's a lot that we can design in our culture as leaders and in our well-being. But you as a sales rep, if you're listening to this, walk into every meeting knowing what's true. See what happens. See how you handle things. See how you handle rejection. Bounce right back, right? See how you can have hard conversations. Don't really care what people think about me. I'm just trying to help, right? There's some great things that happen when you're so truly abiding in what's actually true, instead of listening to stories and having loud voices that aren't really actually serving you. So anyway, I hope you love this podcast. This is a little different one, but anyway, these are some things on my mind. Comment if you have any questions or any thoughts. Share it with a friend if you feel like they need to hear it. And yeah, man, talk to you soon. Peace.